Welcome to Indoor Hydroponics. I'm John, your indoor hydroponic test dummy with nothing that relates to hydroponics today. In fact, I want to talk about microgreens. Guys, I've been growing microgreens for years, and now listen, microgreens, you've probably been reading lately about how incredibly nutritious they are for you, and they are in that most microgreens are about 5 times more nutrient dense than their adult counterpart, okay? And in fact, broccoli, they say, 1 ounce of broccoli microgreens is the equivalent of eating 1 head of broccoli, and that's quite a stark difference, right? So I think it's incredibly important to add microgreens into the diet. Now, unfortunately, lots of YouTube videos out there on the topic of microgreens are trying to sell you something, okay? Microgreen kits and trays, special growing pads like the Sure to Grow pads, special sprouting seeds, right? Like nature created sprouting seeds just for sprouting, right? So, God bless them, all right? God bless them. Everyone's got to make a living out there. But microgreens are too easy to grow, and you don't need all this hocus pocus, alright? And in fact, I've created a method, and it's the smoking gun with growing these things, right? And I've given it an acronym. DWLS. DWLS. Dirt, water, light, and seed. Yeah, that's right. There is no smoking gun for this. Dirt, water, light, and seed. If you have those 4 ingredients, then you can grow microgreens at home. So let's talk about some tips, and let's plant some, grow some, check out the results. Okay guys, so what have I learned over the years of growing microgreens? So some of my experiences have been, well, we grow microgreens essentially for the nutritional content, right? And the moment we sever the microgreen from the stem/root system, the nutritional value begins to go down. So it's ideal to grow these in the home because then you can harvest them immediately before consuming them, okay? So for all you foodies out there that live in an area like I do that actually sells microgreens for a ridiculously upcharged amount, do keep that in mind, that the longer they sit in that little clamshell you buy them in, right, the lower the nutritional value. So in addition to that, I used to grow in like 10 by 20 garden trays, okay, of microgreens, and they turned out really good. But the problem with that is I could not consume all those microgreens in that relatively short window of harvest time and consume them all. So some of them did go down. I mean, I gave a lot away, but really what I do now is as I grow by the handful, okay? So if I want a handful of microgreens a day type of thing, I will grow in these little cups type of thing, alright? And what do we have here? We have that red Solo cup, and we have the styrofoam cup. Go into your guys' pantry, look next to the thing, next to the thing, next to the thing, and what you'll find is these cups. Now, don't worry if you don't have these cups in your pantry, okay, and or kitchen, because that means you've grown out of the college kegger phase, and I'm proud of you. So, go to the dollar store and purchase some of these, and this is a cheap investment for growing microgreens. Why? Because both of these products are man-made and not very biodegradable. They will be around for 100,000 generations. So, what does that mean? They're reusable, alright? And so that just drives the cost down on growing microgreens. Secondly, has to do with the dirt, okay? Now you can grow these things in those Sure to Grow pads that you have to special order. You can grow them on paper towel. I found that the best substance to grow seeds in is what nature has provided us, dirt. And what do I got here? I got a potting media, but you can use seed starting media, you can use potting media, and you can even use peat moss. And in fact, if you have any of that stuff left over from the garden season, don't throw it away, guys. Keep it and use it to grow microgreens over the winter. Water. Water, guys. Alright, do I dechlorinate? Do I pH it? No, because that's just too complicated. This is water straight out of the tap, guys. And in fact, they're in little bug juice containers. Because I got kids and they like bug juice. Alright, lastly and most importantly, obviously we can't get microgreens without the seeds, right? And that's very important. So, a couple of tips on the seeds. One is if you have leftover seeds, if you're a gardener with leftover seeds like I do, this is a perfect opportunity not to throw those away and to use them for microgreens. If you have a cold crop vegetable, greens, herbs, spinaches, things of that nature, make perfect perfect microgreens. Consider growing those before you throw them away. Secondly, and I've mentioned this on prior videos, and I cannot stress this enough, go to your garden centers, greenhouses, nurseries at the end of the year, anywhere that sells seeds, even hardware stores, okay? And what they will do at the end of the year is they will put these seeds in bins, right? And they'll mark them down to like $0.25 a piece. And is a cup of microgreens worth $0.25 to me? Yes. And so I buy cold crops, whatever they got in the bin, for $0.25 a piece. I got a whole bucket of these things, right? And I use them specifically for microgreens, and they're perfect for that, all right? I mean, I got Brussels sprouts, kale, radish, spinach. I got some leftover cress from last year. These make perfect microgreen materials to grow on the cheap. $0.25 a piece and or free, because you are going to throw these things out as soon as they expire. So use them up, make microgreens. Now let's get to planting. Okay guys, so I'm just going to do 4 cups in this particular example, and I've got these things filled up with a high-grade potting soil, okay, because I have some leftover potting soil from my indoor grow here. Now, I have them filled up almost to the top, and you want these things planted as close to the top as possible. Why? So that when you take your scissors to harvest, you can just use this lid as kind of like a stable environment type of thing to cut them, and boom, you're done. You gently shake it off, you don't get any dirt into it, and you don't have to clean them. Secondly, is I didn't show this on the prior clip, but this particular styrofoam cup has 3 holes poked into the bottom of it. This one doesn't. This is to catch our water. So after you water, unless you like water dripping all over your floor, then you might want to have the red Solo cup. That's its purpose, to catch the overflow. Now, after we get these particular puppies planted out, we want to give them a pretty decent water, alright? And let this stuff drain all the way to the bottom. Okay guys, and now the fun part, and this is where you get the kids involved. Guys, plant these seeds, plant them densely. My oldest child here, Miss Ava, is planting a fine kale, and my youngest child here, Miss Kylie, is planting a fine Brussels sprout. What I'm going to do is I'm going to plant some cabbage here type of thing, and we just want to plant these, and you want to plant them very, very, very dense, guys, because we're not growing these plants out to fruition, right guys? Right. We are planting these things for the greens. Okay guys, so we got these cups, we got the soil in it, we got them all wetted down, and we have them planted out, and they are planted out densely, okay? And so what do we got in here? We have some garden cress, we have some kale, we have some radish greens, that'll be fun, and some cabbage microgreens. So I think this is a good mix here to grow some microgreens in. Now we want to cover them with about 1/8 inch of potting media. Okay, so we just want to barely cover these puppies. So let's do that. Okay guys, we have these good and misted down. Now, you could, if you wanted, cover these, okay, to retain some moisture until they germinate. However, I'm not going to, because this particular grow room does not get all that hot, alright? But I can't stress this enough. The #1 key ingredient with growing good microgreens is keeping the media moist, not waterlogged, but damp, moist, that type of thing, which may require up to 2, maybe sometimes 3 mistings a day. So before you go to work, give them a misting. After work, when you come home, give them another misting, and you will not have any problems. Now let's talk about lights. Lights, you know, you can do it artificially. You can grow them under a CFL. You can grow them under some shop lights that are really cheap and cost effective. I am fortunate enough that I have a grow room here, which these things are going to be sitting in. However, you do not need that. If you have a southern facing windowsill, man, pop them in there and you are fine. The only difference between growing under artificial light and that, and like an indoor windowsill, is it'll take maybe 1, 2, 3 days longer to harvest, okay, because the light intensity, obviously, from a windowsill is not going to be the same as under artificial lighting. So, let's come back in about 4 or 5 days. Again, keep them moist. This is so simple, guys. This is so simple. Dirt, water, seed, and light. That's it. That is it. So let's come back in about 5, 6, 7 days and we'll be harvesting some microgreens. And like magic, guys, we have microgreens approximately 7 days later. Now the beauty about growing in small amounts like this and planting at the same time with different species is that you're going to have a staggered interval, okay? Depending on the crop. Now, for instance, 2-3 days ago, believe it or not, this garden cress was ready, okay? So I let it grow out maybe a day or too long. But I could have been munching on this already, and I did that for the purposes of video, but it came along quite nicely. It's perfect. It's ready to go. Today I could have been munching on this radish right here, which is good to go as of right now. Now, tomorrow we could have got into this particular kale, which is awesome, and it's my favorite microgreen. It just comes up so perfect every time. And then in a day or two, the cabbage will be ready, and this is a slower starting type of microgreen, but it's coming along quite nicely. Now, what do I do with this stuff? I mean, I might add a handful of this stuff to my chicken wings later, right? And I understand there's some people in the world that says, do not add some green stuff to my chicken wings, and I agree. So, add it to some soup, you can add it to the top of a sandwich, you can put it in a salad, use it as garnish, but there's too many ways. And you don't have to be a foodie to eat this stuff, okay, to incorporate this stuff into the diet. And you certainly do not need to be a gardener to grow microgreens. It's too easy. Dirt, water, light, and seed, piece of cake. Every week you can be growing this stuff inside over the winter. So, as always, this is how I do it. Please like, subscribe, comment when you can, and I will see you again on Indoor Hydroponics. Thanks, guys. Bye.